Hey everybody, I was just making a video about this new pack that we got in Logic Pro for iPad, and I discovered a bunch of really strange things. And so I want to talk about this and maybe ask the question of what the heck is happening with Logic Pro for iPad right now, and what does it mean for the future of Logic Pro for Mac? So let's talk for a second. What I was looking at is, and if I go into the more sounds in the browser, there's this new pack in Logic called Visions. It's an Alchemy pack. It sounds amazing. It has more than 80 step sequencer pattern loops and 149 Alchemy synth sounds. And there's been some people online talking about how this is one of the first packs that ever came to Logic Pro for iPad that didn't come anyplace else, not for GarageBand, not for Logic Pro for the Mac. Well, it's only partially true. I did a little digging into this, and yes, there are some elements in this pack which are just on the iPad version right now. And I believe part of the issue is that Logic Pro for Mac has a crappy browser. It doesn't allow for updating mid-cycle. It doesn't allow you to get new content without having a full update. It's just really crappy. The iPad version, on the other hand, they can release new content and it doesn't require like a full update. It doesn't require you to have to do anything. Their system there is more flexible and more powerful and does a lot of things really great. So I thought, okay, maybe this is a sign that the iPad version is being tested out. They're testing this new pack to see, A, how many people will use it. B, maybe they're just making sure that this mechanism works. C, maybe they're just preparing that version to be the full version of Logic, right? It certainly looks cooler. And this whole system of packs, I mean, it's like we have all these visuals that really tie us or tune us into what's in the pack and who the producer is. This is a great system. If the iPad version could give that feature set over to the Mac version, nobody, I don't think, would complain. So I'm downloading this pack, the Visions Alchemy Pack. People are talking about how awesome the sounds are. They're moody, they're ethereal, they're great for like sound design and scoring, whatever, right? Normally, when you do something on the iPad version that the Mac version doesn't have, when you open up that Logic project in the Mac version, it says, oh, I need to download some additional content. And when I did this, no additional content was downloaded. And so I was like, wait a second. And so I went through the entire Visions pack, and all of the Alchemy instruments that are in that are already in the Logic Pro for Mac. Every single one of them, as far as I can tell. So when I come into the Alchemy instrument, this is one of the ones that was in the iPad version, Soft Play. It's already here. And I went through each of them. They're not part of a pack on the Mac version. Because if I come into, for instance, the library and I say, ooh, I want to go to my sound. So I go to my filters. Here's the sound packs. There's no Visions. There's Vision and Verse, but that's in both versions already. There's no Vision producer pack. If I come over to my loops and I try to filter out, you'll see that there's no Visions here either. Okay, awesome. That makes it a little tricky, of course, but I think that what we're looking at maybe is just a repackaging of something that they're testing out on the iPad version, but it's not actually like brand new content. I am going to come down. I just want to do the pattern loops for a second, because the one thing I hadn't even thought about are these pattern loops here as well. And we have these by alphabetical order. I can just scroll down to O. OP, if I can just do my alphabet. Ocean Lights. Ocean Memories. So those are not there. These are amazing pattern loops, though. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But first, The instruments are already all here. All of the cool things in Visions already are on Mac OS for the Logic version there, but the pattern loops are not. And the pattern loops are perhaps one of my favorite things. I think a whole video needs to be done about these because they show the step sequencer as this incredible tool that perhaps we're not thinking of using it in the way that they're using it here. So let me play this loop. So what I did was I saved the Logic project on my iPad. You can always then come in, open up, and go into your iCloud drive under the Logic Pro for iPad, and it'll just pop up there. So I just opened it up. This is one of those loops. I mean, geez, that thing is complex for what this thing is doing down here because this tool is so powerful. We can run lanes at different speeds in different directions with randomization. So all these notes here are triggering at different times. And then we have control over, for instance, the actual Alchemy pad, performance pad down here. We have the ARP mode, the ARP octave, the transform pad X and Y, decay and cutoff. So let me open up the Alchemy plugin while this thing is playing for a second and look at the performance pad down here. I mean, that's a work of art. That's incredible. And so once again, we find that, yeah, maybe we don't have a new instrument. Alchemy already does like everything in the known universe, but we're now tying the step sequencer and all of its power and creating an entire soundscape out of instruments that we already had inside Logic Pro for Mac. Why did we get a new Visions sound pack on Logic Pro for iPad that already has the instruments we have in Alchemy? It's just adding these step sequencer things and giving it a name and maybe boosting up, or maybe in one of our recent versions of Logic Pro for Mac, we got these instruments and they just didn't tell us, or I don't know how long they've been around. There's no way to really track that. I can't find any resources that say when certain instruments in Alchemy were released, but here we are. They've been organized into this pack, and maybe we'll get this pack in Logic as well. But the packs in Logic Pro for Mac are almost useless. And I would say almost useless on the iPad version as well. Obviously, the sounds are great. The functionality of these instruments are amazing. But we're trying to find something, right? So it's like, okay, I'm going to look up Prismatica for my sounds. And then I come in here and see a couple drum kits and a couple synthesizer folders and one arpeggiated synth thing. I mean, this is a bad way to have to find anything, let alone have it mean something. Like, I don't know what those sounds are going to be. I can't hear them. I have to load them up and play them. That's insanity. Alchemy is a little bit better because with Alchemy, at least, we have a browser that has categories, subcategories, genres, and timbres, although I find often that those don't really mean as much as I wish that they would mean. They do have a rating system, which we can do, but we're going to be rating over, 3,800. Thousands of sounds that we are going to have to figure out if they're what we want or not. And each of those, over 3,800 sounds have typically 8 performance pads. And so they're broken down into 8 individual sounds. So we're looking at, just an incredible amount of information and no realistic way to sort through it. That doesn't make it any less valuable. It just makes it really hard sometimes to be able to say Alchemy is the best synth in the universe. Here, let me play a couple of presets for you. well, can it do this? And then you're thinking, well, I don't know how to find if it can do that. There's too many options and there's not a good enough way to search through it. If we're going to be using Apple Intelligence or AI in any other form to do anything for us in music, let's make it so that it can organize all of our information surrounding presets so that if we type in what we want, it can find it for us and then we can manipulate it from there and make it our own. That seems like the best use of this. Nobody's been able to fully do that though. I know Reason tried and they're having a hard time. Other applications have tried. Splice is a good example of maybe a group that's been able to do it better than others, because that's their whole business, though, is finding sounds. But that's what we need, not confusing new sound packs that are kind of half here already, but only on one platform and not the other. Oof. It's time to sort out the browser and Logic. Please.